My name is Fernando Quintero. I'm Andy's dad. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, but I've lived in the U.S. most of my life. I've been here for 30 years. So I lived in Boston, in South Florida, in Miami, and now here in Texas. And I work in technology, so I've worked in IT for about 27, 28 years. And an important fact: I was born the day the Apollo 11. So I'm kind of a moon kid or man. But the day the Apollo 11, which is the first rocket that made it to the moon with Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. So I was born the day that the Apollo 11 was launched.
How do you want to be remembered?
My legacy has to be around my family. I think if I'm remembered as a great dad and a great spouse, I think I've done my job here on planet Earth.
Did you and your friends have a special hangout or place where you would spend a lot of time together?
Oh yeah, we did. Like every weekend we would do off-roading. So that was my favorite hobby. Beach, rivers, mountains. So we had a couple of friends that had some Jeeps and we would go every weekend. So that was a special hangout for us.
What was one of the first jobs you had, or some of the first couple jobs that you had growing up?
So the very first job that I remember I had was shoveling snow in Boston. I was about 8 years old and we had a big snowstorm. It was called the blizzard of 1978, and the kids were coming to the door knocking with shovels, and they were making $3-4. So I bought a shovel. Didn't speak English, but my mom made me a sign that said, "Can I do your walkway?" And I would just ask yes or no, and that was it. So that was my first job. Then from there I had a newspaper route with a newspaper called the Boston Globe. So I had a route, and I was not very good at it. I kept throwing papers, and they would become a mess. So I had a lot of complaints. So that I wasn't good, but I was able to buy a bike with that job. And then I did car washing. I did sales. I don't know. I've worked in warehouses. I've worked doing inventory. I worked in many different places, from finance to accounting, to general services, to IT operations. So my career went through a lot of jobs.
If you had to do it all over again, is there anything that you would change, the way you raise your family? Is there anything you would change in that aspect?
I would, and I still think about it, but I would spend more time with you guys if I had more available time. That's one of the things that you never get back. So you work for companies, you have jobs, and they never give you that time back. So I would definitely try to spend more time and engage more with quality time, not just being here, but quality time with you guys.
As you were growing up, what was one of the most important inventions?
I think the internet was a big one, because now all of a sudden I don't have to use that big and old encyclopedia again. I can just type up and the computer would tell me the answer, right? So the internet was a big one. And this is even before Google. This is, there were search engines back then, one called Alta Vista from Digital Equipment. They were pretty good. So the internet was one of the biggest game changers, because the access to information we have from one day to the other is very different than going to find a book and going to the library, right? So the internet is a big one. Smartphones are also a big changer. I think the apps and the access to information, data, the availability of all the data and info we can get from these phones, the flexibility we have, the ability to check in on a flight, the ability to check your account balances and not having to go anywhere else is unbelievable. The convenience a smartphone will give us, and combining all the other features such as the camera and calculator and all the other stuff managing once you come in. So the smartphone was good, and I think from here on, if I look at some of the recent ones, things like Uber. I used to use taxis, and I don't use many taxis anymore. Uber is a game changer for our societies, and it's a whole they call them sharing economies, right? Uber, you have Lyft, you have Airbnb, and you have many other applications that allow for people to share inventory that's already out there for a fraction of the cost. So I think we will see a very big shift with all these sharing economies as we continue evolving.
What advice would you give me from your life, from any experiences, good or bad?
I think the most important one is you have to first make sure you identify your values, what your core values are. There are many values that we as individuals have, but and their their integrity, hard work, passion, health, fitness, family, I don't know, commitment. There are many values. So my biggest advice is identify what your core 3 to 5 values are, and then everything you do, which is live, you work, and you play by your core values. So that's the first one. Understand your values, live by that. Don't let anyone or anything turn those values into something that are not your values, because your core values is what defines you as an individual, whether it's ethics and integrity. So it's very important that you do that. If you do that and work by that, things and many of the decisions that you have to make through life are going to be much easier, because everything will be based on your values. And then the other thing is, work very hard, because the harder we work, the luckier we get. And it's working hard. A lot of people, there's no shortcut. You have to work hard. You have to find the hard way. Once you do that, the system will reward you accordingly. But work very hard, and you will get luckier.
Tell me about one of your prized possessions.
Prized possessions, there are two main ones. The first one is my religion and faith, having God, right? So that's very important. I think as individuals, we go through moments where that test ourselves, and we have to have faith and religion as the core in terms of our beliefs and our relationship with God. So that's probably one of the most important ones. And then the second one that matters is family. Bottom line is that's the only thing that matters. Family's with you through good times, through bad times. They're there when you need them, and everything else comes and goes. All the material stuff will come and go throughout your life, but make sure you cherish, you feed the love within the family that you have, because those are the ones that are going to be there for you at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Or should I ask that?
Ask what you want.
Cool.
Ask what you want, I'll tell you.
Is that a yes or no?
Yes or what? What are you asking? Give me a question.
So, where was your first home?
My first home was in Chicopee, Massachusetts. It was a 3-family house. My grandmother on the first floor with her youngest daughter, my mother and father and I on the second floor, my aunt. My mother's the middle sister on the third floor with her husband and 2 daughters that were younger than me.
What were your earliest memories of your first home?
The earliest memories that I had of that house was the front porches, the back porches, and the back stairs that we ran up and down every day, visiting. The doors were always open, and so all the apartments, and so we would just keep running up and down the stairs, visiting one house and moving down the other stairs to the other house, and playing all the time on the porches, the back porches.
Is that where you attended grade school in Chicopee?
I did go elementary school in Chicopee, Massachusetts. It was from kindergarten through 8th grade.
Did you and your friends have a special hangout where you like to spend time with them?
We would go to Friendly's ice cream shop and have hamburgers, fries, and milkshakes. And we'd hang out there for a little bit, and then there was another place called Al's. It was just like a little diner with the counter and stools at the counter. All the kids would hang out there after school.
Would you just go there for ice cream, or how often did you go there?
No, probably once or twice a week. I didn't go there as often as, say, other kids, but you always want to go to see who was going to be there, because you never knew who you were going to meet there. The in kids.
If you had to do it all over again, would you change the way you raised your family?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's amazing when I think back, because we were very, very young. We were just 21 when we got married. I was 22 years old and had my first child. And 24 when I had my second. We were away from family, away from the support group. And when I think of youth today, having to do something like that and making it work for 50 years, over 50 years now, I kind of doubt that it very dedicated to each other. We were strong. We were very strong. We raised our children with great discipline. They weren't allowed to do a lot of things. They were really under my thumb. I made sure that I knew where they were, what they were doing, and how they were doing it, and with who they were doing it.
Except Kevin.
No, I kept pretty close tabs on him, even when he did kind of escape on me every once in a while when he was older, but not as a child, no.
Do you remember hearing your grandparents describe their lives, and what they say?
My grandparents were both born in Poland. My grandmother, I don't know as much about my grandfather's early life, but my grandmother was 12 years old when she was put on a ship with a tag on her coat with her name and where she was going. And she went to relatives and to work on a farm. When she got there, I think they were very disappointed because they expected somebody to really be able to go out and work the farms. And she was a 12-year-old little girl and, you know, not as strong as they had anticipated. So I guess she was not very happy. She did not speak any English, so it was hard. She ran away from home, I know, a couple of times. So she had a tough, very tough life as a child.
Did she ever learn any English, or did you just communicate with her in Polish?
No, she really didn't learn that much English. The area that we lived in, or that she lived in, was very Polish-speaking, very ethnic neighborhood. So the grocery stores and everything that she wanted to go shopping, where she wanted to go shopping, whatever, that they communicated in Polish. I understood everything she said, and I spoke to her probably Polish more than any of her other grandchildren did, and her children always spoke in Polish to her. This was our living room, Center Street, 1943. That's my carriage. That's my carriage. You want me to get into Kevin?
Yeah.
Kevin was my challenge child. He was a little full of mischief. I learned afterward as an adult that he used to go down into the sewers in Plano, under the street in the sewers, and play down in there. And I also learned that he played some soccer on the top of Albertson's building, so yes, he did a lot of those little kind of funny things that he thinks are funny now, that I didn't think were so funny. It's your mother. This is our first Christmas picture that we sent out. We did a lot of vacationing. We stayed together as a family, for sure. We did things as a family all the time. Kept those kids close to home, Enchanted Forest. They saw the Flying Melindas at the Enchanted Forest. Their first roller coaster ride.
Didn't you tell me a story once about Kevin when he was selling those chocolate bars?
Yes, he was in Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, I guess it was. And they came home with boxes of chocolate bars that they were to sell in the neighborhood. So he went out with their little friend and the chocolate boxes. And he came home about an hour and a half later, and the chocolates were gone. Oh, you sold all your chocolates. Where is the money from them? Well, there was no money. They ate the chocolates for the most part. Maybe they came home with one or two bars, but the rest of the chocolates they kind of had fun with. Probably passed them out to their friends. And yes, that was Kevin. Always a smile on his face. The teachers loved him. He was very silly in school, so we had to stop classes sometimes and go outside for a drink of water because he would get the children laughing to the point where the children were out of control and the teacher had to take a break. That was Kevin. Now he has 2 children of his own, and he doesn't think it's very funny when they do some mischievous little things. And I said, well, it's payback time.
Where was your first home, and what were your earliest memories of your first home?
My first home was in Linares, and I spent my whole childhood there. I remember having a huge patio with a little pool and just jumping in there all the time and having fun.
What are you most proud of?
I'm very proud of my family, parents, siblings, my husband, my kids, of course, Johnny.
Thank you. What jobs did you have?
I worked for the director of the census department in Mexico. I worked as the director of the events and tours for the Attorney General of the state of Nuevo León. And I am a relationship banker right now.
As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up,
I wanted to be an industrial engineer
and why?
because I thought that it was so cool to build the machines that were used to manufacture products.
Describe your wedding ceremony.
My wedding ceremony was awesome. It was a small thing, but it was very interesting because you were sort of putting 2 different languages and cultures together. My family didn't speak any English, and my husband's family didn't speak any Spanish, so it was pretty interesting. It was really good. My dad got to dance and sing, and we had a great time overall.
If you had to
We're still
do it
married.
all If you had to do it all over again, would you change the way you raised your family?
I would not.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
Yes, a few times I've been robbed.
What did they rob?
Everything in the house.
Oh.
I went to McDonald's one day, that was the worst, and within 10 minutes they came inside, they got everything out of the house, including the stuff from the refrigerator. Mattresses were flipped over, and I was able to chase one of the guys, but I could not catch him.
Has anyone ever saved your life?
Yes, I remember now.
How did they save your life?
I got into an accident. I was driving. My sisters were fighting in the back of the car, and they landed on top of me, so I crashed against a wooden pole, and the thing cracked and fell on top of the car with cables all around us, and my dad was half of a block away from the crash, and he ran to us and he moved some of the cables, and he was able to get us out of the car before anything would happen.
Did you and your friends have a special hangout where you like to spend your time?
Yes,
Where was it, and what did you do there?
we call it La Yuquera, and that's a place where they sold the best snow cones, yuquis we call them in Spanish, and we just hang out there, talk. We didn't hang out for too long because we were always on the street riding our bikes or just running around.
How do you want to be remembered?
as a loving, generous Christian person that tried to do what Jesus wanted us to do.
Do you have any major regrets?
Probably just not pursuing my career.
Where did you attend school and did you like it?
In Mexico. My elementary school all the way to high school in Linares, and I loved it. It was a Catholic school, Colegio Linares, Colegio Modelo, and I loved it. Then I went to college in Monterrey, and I also loved that one.
What was the funniest thing you can remember that one of your children said or did?
They started being funny since they were little. Starting when they will empty, at the age of 2, empty their closets and their dressers and then just throw everything down the stairs so I could pick it up. Johnny getting into my medicine cabinet and always trying to drink and eat all the medicine he could, etc.
How did your mobile phones affect you when they became a thing?
It was the big thing. They became a thing, so we were able to just flat out start communicating with everybody. But that's not something that we were born with, so we kind of have to get used to use the phones first of all to call people, and then texting came up, and then internet, and now you're able to just do everything on the phone.
Alright, do you have any major regrets
Besides getting married.
besides getting married?
Maybe. I think the only one that I really is a regret that I didn't go after I got out of the service. I didn't go to college.
And I regret not going to college earlier so I could be a teacher for longer.
Alright. So, what do you miss about, like, being a teenager?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Alright. How do you want to be remembered?
Good. Giggles.
I don't know. Somebody who made a difference in society.
Alright.
Do you want to answer that?
As far as I don't know that I care to make a difference in society as a whole. I think mine's more my children's lives, my family's lives, my friends' lives. The occasional random stranger who needs a hand, maybe.
What are you most proud of?
My children.
My boys.
Do you have any goals that you haven't completed yet?
Yes.
What are they?
I get my master's degree. Travel.
Besides travel, I don't think my goals are ever. They're never ending. So my goals are. I don't have monetary goals. I don't have possession goals. I don't have. My goals are, hey, how can I be a better person? How can I help people? How can I do? Those are my goals.
If you could change one thing about modern society, what would you change?
Let me go.
Sure.
The way people treat each other.
Yeah.
That's it.
Alright.
I agree. We need to treat each other better.
Where was your first home?
Mine was in Chicagua.
Like ever or together?
Like, ever. Like, as a child.
Greeley, Colorado.
That's right. Not from Oklahoma. Just saying.
Where did you attend grade school?
Depew, New York.
Stillwater, Oklahoma. Go Pokes.
And did you like school?
Yes. For the most part.
Yeah, actually, Depew. Now, actually, so 1 year in New York and then 4 years in New England. And yes, I did.
Tell a story about your brothers and sisters, if you have any.
I don't have any. What kind of story?
Like, one that's appropriate for school.
I remember growing up in New York, we used to have to go outside. And I remember 3 of us would be bundled up so much we looked like beach balls out in the snow. And then once you're out, you're out. Mama locked the door behind you.
Your Aunt Jenna is really gullible, so I used to play tricks on her a lot. A lot.
That's
I-
really appropriate for school.
Hi, what is your name?
My name's Chris McMillon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. What is your most prized possession, Chris?
My prized possession is probably my family. I love my family. And then my Corvette, second place.
What advice do you have for my life?
For your life is to get a great education, listen to your elders, full of wisdom and knowledge and experience, and just try to live an honest and decent life.
What do you do for work?
I work for Maxim Integrated. I'm a electronic equipment engineer. I manage about 20 employees.
Okay. What do you do on your free time?
Free time, I love listening to music. I love tinkering with my car, working around the house.
Okay. Where were you in your life when you were around my age?
I was into sports. I was playing football. I was helping my mom and dad. They were self-employed, had their own business, and I was helping them on when I wasn't going to school. Water skied. We lived around a lake, so we went in the lake a lot.
Where did you live in your childhood?
I'm from California, but we moved to Texas, Houston area when I was a freshman in high school. So split between California and Texas.
What is your favorite music genre?
My favorite music genre is probably grunge. The Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. But my first love is Led Zeppelin and that era.
So classic rock.
Classic rock.
What are your favorite sports teams?
Favorite sports teams, of course, are the Cowboys, the Rangers, and the Mavericks.
Okay. When do you wish to retire?
Tomorrow. Probably around 65, 67. I like to stay busy. I think I would get bored if I was to quit work or retire early. So hopefully I'm healthy enough to work that long.
Okay. The interview is now come to an end. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.